Welcome to our channel. In this video I'm reacting to the Wode Maya's video where he asked, is South Africa divided? Now this video does not intend in any way to undermine his hard work, but however it's just a response to that specifically or particular video. Now in this discussion I will also be discussing things that have been mentioned under comments of the very same video. So I'm not necessarily addressing Wode Maya's message. I'm also addressing the message from the subscribers and the viewers. So firstly, what I've seen more than once in that video, the comment that I've seen more than once in that comment is that in that video rather, is that some of Africans say they own economy in their country. Now, owning the economy is something else. Let's talk about that. What's the meaning of owning the economy? Well, let me give you an example. If you like, for example, like me, who just work a normal job, you probably have the following. You have a check account, what we call a current account. That current account comes with overdraft. You also have a credit card. You also have a car. Probably you have a car or you don't have a car. But if you have a car, that car is financed, right? You also have a house. That house is financed, right? Now, before I go any further, the main question that you should ask yourself is, what investment, what savings do you hold with the bank? If you don't hold any investment that it's more than what you owe to the bank, then forget it. You're not owning the economy. You're fooling yourself. Owning the economy does not mean making a decision in the economy. It's far too complex than that. It's not that simple. Secondly, I would like to speak about why I think it's unfair to compare white people of South Africa with black people of South Africa. The reason is being, white people in South Africa have been in power for a very long time. So they have had the chance to accumulate many assets. Whereas most of us, blacks, we only 25 years, maybe less than 25 years of independence. So is it fair to compare those two people? For me, it's like, for example, you have two people that are running a marathon and you allow the first person to run for 10 minutes while you're holding the other person. Then after 10 minutes of that other person running, you release this person, and then you say to this person, that person is not running fast enough. Then what will have been a fair comparison? Fair comparison will have been to compare the first 25 years of white people in power with the first 25 years of black people being in power. What are their contributions? What are their achievements? Then if we do that, we're comparing apples with apples. Now, in your case, for example, let's look at the suburbs, because you went into two suburbs, that one suburb and the other estate that you said you have forgotten the name. But let's talk about that suburb. There's an easy way to compare in that suburb. Let's find out what's the cost of the average house. There was no mention of the cost of the average house, so that we can compare with the other suburb. And for example, we take Sandton and check what is the cost of the average house there. Are there any black people? That at least is acceptable, although not perfect, but is acceptable. Another thing that you have to remember is that we, as apartheid, the country was segregated. So we have been living, black people alone, white people alone, colored alone. And in the community that we live, we have relatives, we have friends, and so on and so forth. What I'm trying to get at is people, in making decision of moving from where you live to another place, there's also the issue of preference. if you discount the issue of preference, I'll give you an example. For example, when Chris Hani moved to Boxback, they complained when they moved to Boxback, they didn't know that the area was predominantly white at that time, and then they complained amongst each other during their conversation, saying that they didn't know it was predominantly white, otherwise they wouldn't have moved there. So that's another thing that you have to take into account. For example, if you come to Durban, you will notice that the Muslim people live in their own section. Why? Because there are mosques. Everything that they need, it's there, whereby they need them. They need those amenities. They cannot move to places. They can, but they cannot. It's not convenient to move to places such as Mhlanga, for example. I'm just mentioning that as an example. Another thing that we should have looked at properly for us to really have an informative conversation rather are the following. What did South Africa look like before 1994? What does it look like now? For example, let's ask, were there any black CEOs, for example, in South Africa before 1994? No, there were no black CEOs. Before 1994, when we talk about the economy, we talk about the rich being white people and the poor being the black people, but there was no middle class. How many black people have managed to move to middle class? That's another factor that you have to consider. Before we even consider things such as unemployment, inequality, and so on and so forth. We also look at things such as how many people are owning business now? How many people had businesses then? In corporate places, how many people have become managers? How many managers did we have before 1994? Were even black people allowed to be managers during that time? Those are the things that we need to look at to really measure whether we have had some progress in South Africa or not. We can't just use our eyes to measure the progress. Let's also go back to the issue of the suburb that you went to. You also need to understand that in any society, in any race, there's what we call different classes. In UK, for example, let's remove the black people. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, the UK does not have black people. If you find in those white people, there's the issue of class as well. There are many poor. There are also poor white people in South Africa. In fact, there are homeless white South African. If you don't believe me, come to Durban, go to the beach, you will see them for yourself. In Mpumalanga, there are also white people that live in the shacks in this country. In this short period of time, in this 25 years, already we can see white people living in the shacks. The dynamics are changing, but not at the rate that we want them to change. I'm not saying that we need to see white people being poor so that we can see that the dynamic are changing, but I'm saying that it portrays a certain message that poverty, it's not necessarily had to do with the race. It's just that it's been unfortunate that the majority of black people are poor. Lastly but not the least, let's look at the policies, whether are there any policies to address inequality. Because I can hear people saying, I've seen some comments say, like, kick out white people, grab the land, do this and that, do this and that. Land expropriation in that fashion did happen in Zimbabwe, or shall we go to Venezuela? It's also happened. What were the outcomes? Where are the brave people? Are they still leading the nation? Or the nation is left to, those nations are left to suffer alone? But what we are forgetting is land expropriation can be done in a very decent or in a very just way. It was done in Tanzania. I think it was 1967. I think it was also done in Ethiopia. It's just that I didn't follow that much, the one of Ethiopia. It was done in a just manner, and people gained their land. The owners of the land. There was, or let's just say, there was rather a land expropriation that did not damage the economy. Another policy that's there to address the inequality is that of BEE. Mr. Lawrence did mention BEE, but I was surprised that you did not ask him, Wode Maya didn't ask him more questions just to understand how the policy works. The policy does not address or deals with tenders only. It's basically for transformation. In other words, to appoint people in workplaces, for example, according to the demographics. It also addresses gender inequality, or it empowers women. It also addresses the issue of disability. People with disability in the workplace are given preferences. If you apply for a job in South Africa, it's written there. It's known as an Equity Act. It's written there. They stipulate in terms of the Equity Act that black people, for example, people with disability, women are given preferences. Those are policies that are there. Those are the policies that came with democracy to address the inequality. It's not like South Africans are lazy and they're sitting down, sitting back, doing nothing. What I can say is that people in South Africa, black people, have made progress. I know in most countries in Africa, they prefer that we kick out the white people, of which it's a method that has been followed all over Africa. So let's talk about our neighbors, Mozambique. They did the same thing. They gained their independence in 1975. After that, there was civil war where Frelimo was fighting with Renamo, which took more than 16 years. Infrastructure was destroyed. Right now, they are trying to rebuild the country, but they are building the country by borrowing money. So they will build the country. Yes, I'm not disputing that, but at what cost? Because the infrastructure, they destroyed the infrastructure. Now they're rebuilding. How many years are they going to take to build that? And how many years are they going to pay for those loans? If you don't believe me, for example, just Google it yourself and have a look as to when the people of Mozambique use $1, how much does it cost them? I'm just giving an example. And this is what has been happening in most countries in Africa. We destroy the infrastructure to build it, and that takes time too. However, it all depends on an individual. For example, I prefer that the negotiations are much better than war. If you can avoid war, avoid the war. I think that's the principle where the master strategists such as Sun Tzu mentioned. If you can win the war without fighting the war. I thank you for watching this video.